Hi, my name is Sofie Andreou, and I'm a professor lecturer actually at Trent University, and I've had the pleasure of meeting thousands of students since 2002, and this student here has really impressed me like no other. I've never done this before, and I just wanted to put it out there because I can't believe what she's been through at her age, at any age. No one should have to go through what she has, but she's got this dedication and love for our country, for Canada. She's come here against all odds, and she's continually volunteering and giving back to our community, plus going to school full-time, plus working the maximum amount of time that she's allowed to pay for her school. I honestly didn't even realize that school costs $22,000 to go. International students. And I apologize for not knowing that. And so when I heard her story, which I'd like Yllka to tell you about, my heart just went out and I wanted to share it with as many people as possible. Yllka?
Okay, my name is Yllka. I'm an international student at Trent University. I'm doing a double major in mathematics and computer science. I arrived in Canada, as Sophie says, against all odds in September 2016, 2 years and a half ago, almost 2 years and a half ago. My story, I was born in 1997 in Kosovo, the town of Peja, 2 years before the war started in my country. The reason why I talk about war is because war has shaped the course of my life. After being forced to move to Albania and seek refuge in Albania for almost a year with my parents and my sister.
And you were 2 at that time?
At the time I was two and
Jewish?
a half.
Yeah.
So we stayed in Albania for about a year, and then we had to come back to Kosovo. And
did you want to talk a little bit about your sister?
About my sister, yeah. So because of the war and the trauma that my mom experienced during that time, before war started, she had to give birth while she was 7 months pregnant, which means that my sister was born before time, premature. And then she had to be sent in Serbia in incubator. She had to stay there for about 6 months for her muscles and everything to get developed properly. But unfortunately the war started, so then we were forced to take her off incubator before time. So because of that, she didn't have the chance to develop completely, and that's the reason why she cannot walk today properly. So she's with special needs.
Yeah. So you had the war-torn country. I can't even imagine. You had your sister who was pulled out of the incubator, and then you moved to a country that, didn't you say you couldn't stay, you had to go back?
Yeah, we had to go back because we were staying in Albania at that time. Families opened their doors for us, so we were staying with them for like a period of time until we can get back to our country.
Yeah.
So when we got back to our country, we were staying in old, like some houses that were not completely burned. So they were still really old, but they had like one room and a washroom. So we were staying like that for...
When you say that, do you mean they were destroyed partially from the war? Or...
Yeah, from the war.
Yeah, so these pictures that we're showing are similar to what those...
Yes,
what your
so
homes...
I don't have a picture of my house, but that's exactly how my house looked after the war. So when we came back to nothing. Basically, we lost everything. Our identity cards, our money, everything. Yeah.
So then you're back at home, and and how is it that you went to school? How is it you studied?
So I started school at a normal age. My sister started school at 8 years old because of her condition.
Yeah.
But I started school at a normal age. Schools are very, very different from how schools are here. We grew up going to a school which had only a blackboard and nothing else. So no labs, no computers, basically we didn't have any of that. So
can't even imagine just the blackboard and chalk. Yeah.
and a book. So
And books.
we had to imagine everything, how
Yeah.
everything
You're
is.
saying you didn't have electricity much of the time?
Oh yeah, because the country was developing, and so the country was and is still poor. So electricity was a big issue. We wouldn't have electricity sometimes for days. Sometimes the electricity would come during the day and go out at like 4 or 5 p.m. So then I grew up learning with a candle because we wouldn't have electricity. So it's 21st century, but it's
In some areas, yeah.
Yeah, and it's real.
So you actually went through
Yeah.
public school and high school like that, and you
In
loved...
high school, we kind of started developing more. So we
Yeah.
had some computers in high school.
At the high school.
At the high school where I went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you're now at Trent University, how do you go from that, because I know you spent a lot of time working, plus taking care of your sister, plus your family, how did you, what changed? Like what made you decide I'm going to Canada?
Because that's where I saw my future. I have cousins who lived abroad. I had many friends. I was working or volunteering in an organization, Environmentally Responsible Action Group. I was volunteering there, so we would have American students come to intern during summer.
Oh, okay.
So like I would see how life is out there.
From the interns, from the students that were coming in to help.
Yeah, from like I would just see how there's more than that.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have the chance to work. Even before coming to Canada, I needed money before coming to Canada, and I worked so hard to get a job, but I couldn't find a job because sometimes even people with master's degrees, they stay at home or they work as bartenders or waiters.
The jobs just aren't there.
Just aren't there, yeah. Because the country is still developing and there's still a lot of issues. So I was always I worked really hard in school, and I was a very good student. So before coming to Canada, I had that confidence in myself that even though like I don't know a lot of stuff, I still know enough to come to Canada.
Yeah.
Which was a very big surprise when I got here.
I bet.
Yes, because I saw where my level is, like what my level is and what Canadian students' level is, especially in my program in computer science. I would sit in a class where some of first year classes that Canadian students think that it's a joke and they've done that their whole life. I would have to start from zero.
Yeah.
So from being one of the best students in my country, I came here I felt like zero. Like I had to start from zero, and it was really hard for about a year.
And you chose to enter into math and sciences, computer science rather, mathematics and computer science.
Mathematics because I've always had this love for math and I've always been good at math. And computers because I've always wanted to learn computers. I was not good at it because I didn't have a computer until I came to Canada. I didn't have my own. I didn't have a laptop.
That's amazing having that vision.
I just have that big desire to learn.
Yes.
And I think that's where the future is because it's my program.
Yeah, it's your program. That is where the future is. My background's computers and engineering, as you know, and I teach in the computer studies department. So I have to believe in our department as well, and that's where the future is. But women in STEM. Coming over from a country where you were told over and over again that you're crazy. It was what you were telling me. No one believed that you could actually come.
No one believed that I'm coming to Canada, and sometimes even I didn't believe. I thought it was insane because when I got accepted to Trent University, I had zero money and no one could support me financially. And I got an entrance scholarship, which was about $1,500 a year out of approximately 22,000. So when I told my parents, they thought that I'm crazy. And everyone would tell me, like when I would tell them, everyone would stop me in the streets and be like, hey Yllka, what are you doing with your life? You know, it's a very big taboo like back home. If you don't study, you know, of course you're ruining your life. And I was very good student, so everyone was like, what happened with you? So I would tell them I'm going to Canada. and everyone would be like, oh, okay. So I had the chance to, I got a scholarship from Denmark, from one of the clubs in Denmark. So I had the chance to go there and meet a lot of very inspiring young women and women from all these clubs, true optimist clubs around Europe. And at that time, I still didn't know what was happening
Yeah.
in my life. At that time, I actually applied for university in my country, but I didn't get accepted, even though I had straight A's my whole life, my whole academic life. So I did not get accepted, and I was very fortunate to be at the Leadership Academy at the time, because I had all these women who, this amazing support system.
Because you told me you when you didn't get accepted,
that was
it was a big
end,
blow to your.
because I was not accepted at Trent, and it was just the end of my life.
Yeah,
because you know,
but you're at that leadership.
even I was at that Leadership Academy, which
They saw the person I see.
These women really lifted me up, and I could have just given up at that time and just leave everything behind and stop doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
But these women inspired me a lot, and they supported me. Giancarlo Portieri, which is from one of the optimists from Club Venezia Mestra in Italy, and Pia Dahl, who is one of the optimists from Denmark, as well as Katerina Vasilevska, who is the woman who started the Leadership Academy. It was her idea of having this Leadership Academy and bringing all these women together.
Nice.
So when I went back home, I got the news that I was accepted at Trent University, but at that time I didn't have any money to go to Trent. I applied at Trent University with the hope that I would get a full scholarship because of my grades.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. I didn't get a full scholarship, and I only got an entrance scholarship, which covers like $1,500 out of $22,000 per year. So after that, I went back home. I was already home, so when I found out that I got accepted at Trent University, and so I told my parents that I'm deferring my entrance for 1 year with Trent University, so that in the meantime I could find $100,000 for a year out of $0
For the entire, to cover the entire amount.
entire thing. It's about 100. And this whole time I wasn't even thinking about living expenses, because I was so convinced that I'm gonna get a job and I'm gonna work for my living expenses.
So about a month later, I think you were telling me, is that when you went to the States?
About a month later.
And that was like the first time you saw where you wanted to go. So all this
where I was, and
all this time you decided you're going, but you had no idea where you were going, right? And so that was the first time you saw it.
That was the first time I saw a Western country.
Right.
A developed country.
Yeah.
I saw big universities, like we stayed at Ohio University with the professors from Ohio University. We visited New York. We visited Washington.
Wow.
And at that time I was the only girl. And the only young girl. I was 18 years old at the time, and I had all these men with me. We were about a group of 7 people.
That was the
so
environment.
I was traveling around the East USA in a van with only men.
I'm sure your family must have thought you were
My
insane.
family actually did not know this fact.
Oh my gosh.
This little fact.
And that was the
environmentally responsible action group.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Jeez.
Yeah, so after that I went back home, and the Optimist Club in Peja was being chartered. So some of the women from the Optimist Leadership Academy came to my city, and
Really?
Yes, because the club was being founded.
Yeah,
so,
created there. Yeah.
They came for support, and it's the 3rd club in the country. Usually other bigger countries have more clubs. So I was talking to Giancarla Portieri from Italy, and she was asking me how many languages I speak, and I said I only speak Albanian, English, and a bit of Serbian. And she was like, no, you have to speak Italian. So she said, you're coming to Italy and you learn Italian. And so I was like, okay. I didn't really not believe, it was really unbelievable. So I went back home, I told my parents, and they were like, no, it's probably not gonna happen, you know, it's just words. So about a month later, I get a message from Giancarlo saying that I should apply for the visa, and in 1 month I'm going to Italy because the Club Venezia Mestre is sponsoring me with a scholarship to learn Italian in an Italian language Institute of Venezia, and I will be staying with Giancarlo for a month.
Lovely, yeah.
In Italy, in one of the most beautiful cities, in Venice. So I went there for a month, and while I was there, that's where I found out about the STEM scholarship from Optimist International of Europe.
Oh, that's
in
where that
Club
happened.
Milan.
Yeah.
And I applied during that week that I had left in Italy. I applied for that scholarship, and I had to wait about 4 or 5 months till July to figure out if I got the scholarship or not. That was my only chance.
Yeah.
And so July 2016, the time when I was going back to the Optimist Leadership Academy, but this time not as a student. This time I was going as a debate coach because I've been part of the debate tournament in my country. So I was organizing a debate tournament in the Leadership Academy. So I found out in the bus that I got the scholarship.
That's exciting.
And the scholarship was only for 1 year, and I knew that.
So now you got a year paid for.
Then, so yeah, I knew that I have a year paid for, but I didn't know where I was living, and I had no other money. So I asked from my municipality to pay for my flight because I couldn't pay for it.
Yeah.
And then family and friends, they all donated a little bit of money, and they gave me some money to come to move here. And during that time, the Optimists from so Giancarlo and Yvonne, they emailed, contacted the people from the women from Club Peterborough, and told them that I'm coming, and then I don't have any place to stay. So one of the women from Club Peterborough, Dorothy McDonald, offered to host me for some time, for a few weeks. So I emailed her, we contacted each other, and then my new family. So I had the chance to live with her and her husband John, who unfortunately passed away about a month ago after I...
a month after you moved in?
Yes, about a month after I moved in.
You guys were close.
We were close. He was like my father in Canada, and he really cared about me. And he would be really worried about me and ask Dorothy all the time, what is she doing? You know, what is gonna happen with her all the time?
And then Dorothy reached out and asked you to stay the whole year.
Yes, so then Dorothy asked me to stay with her for the whole year because I thought that I would be able to work right away, but I couldn't.
You didn't realize you couldn't work with...
While being an ESL student, so I finally got a job on campus and I started working. At the time I was still living with Dorothy until summer.
And I think there's a guitar in Dorothy's future, or in your future, that Dorothy had something to do with.
So
if you hear this music that we have playing, if everything in the background, it's actually Yllka's playing. And
guitar.
So this guitar, how did that come about?
So when I came to Canada, I couldn't bring my guitar with me. So Dorothy told the members of the Club Peterborough that I don't have a guitar, and that I play the guitar. So Joan Ivana from Club Peterborough, she just decided to buy me the guitar and bring it in front of my bedroom door, and I came back from school.
Really?
And
I didn't realize that.
And I had a big package with
a big bow.
With a big red bow.
You told me,
and it was my guitar.
Jeez, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, now we get you into you worked for the whole summer at a camp.
I worked for the whole summer at camp, and then in my second year, I was living with roommates. So I moved, and so the money that I earned during summer, I would have to pay for rent and my living expenses. And then I was working at that time also. I was working all the time, and so I couldn't use the money to pay for my tuition. But during that year, how I paid for my tuition, I sent out a PDF of my story to all these astronomist clubs around the world, and I had only 1 month time to raise $22,000.
Wow, a month?
A month, about a month, and
$22,000.
$22,000. So these amazing women from all around the world, as True Optimist clubs as well as True Optimist individuals who read my story and who believed in my story, they donated money, huge amounts of money for about a month, and we raised $22,000 for 1 month. And I had to have the money in my bank account at the time. The reason why I'm saying 1 month is because I had to renew my study permit.
Yeah.
So I had to have proof that I have money to pay for my school. Because if you're not paying for your school, you cannot be staying in Canada.
How often do you have to renew a study permit?
So because I was doing English, my study permit was only for 1 year. So now my study permit is up to 2021.
Until you graduate?
Yes.
Good.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they fundraised the money and I paid for my tuition during that year, and then I went back to the summer camp to work for the whole summer, and the money I made during summer had to so I paid for half of my tuition for the fall semester, and then for the other part there were some other clubs who donated, and also a woman from one of the clubs in Denmark who donated almost half of it by herself.
Wow.
Who wanted to be anonymous, so
That's
I don't
amazing.
know who she is.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, during this time, after the camp, I moved with Tana Edwards and Joe, who are hosting me for this year, and so I moved in with my new family, and now I don't have to worry about working too much to pay rent or worry about food, because it's like I'm home and I'm going to school while I'm at home. But at this time it's been too much money that has been donated from the organization, and
from the same organization.
From the same organization, yeah. So that is why I am asking for help from other sources, because the organization cannot continue to only support one person
sure.
all the time.
Yeah.
And I understand that. So.
Yeah. So here we are. So the reason we're here with Buddy is if you don't pay, what happens actually?
If I don't pay, I have to go back to my home country and stop my education.
Oh, jeez.
Because I'm not allowed to stay in the country if I'm not studying.
Okay.
And so if I'm not paying for the tuition, if I'm not studying, you're not allowed to stay in the country, because I'm here with a study permit.
Okay.
I'm not on a work permit, so it's only like study purpose.
So let's make this happen. And one of the things that I fell in love with when I was speaking at a True Optimist Club conference a couple of months back, and I was fortunate enough to be speaking right after you did.
Yeah.
And when you spoke, you just touched my core with a quote that you said. Do you remember the quote?
Let me fall if I must fall. The woman I am becoming will catch me.
Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps again. Let me fall if I must fall. The woman I'm becoming will catch me. Mm-hmm. And it's just, that's just amazing.
It's a very inspiring saying, and I have it written in my diary in my room.
Wow.
I read it every day. I remind myself that no matter what's happening, I'm growing every day. I'm learning so many new stuff, and I'm really lucky to be in the city of Peterborough, because I feel like home, because it's a community that really values each other and giving back to the community. So here I have the chance to not only get help from others, but also give my help to others and to the community. This country, this is the reason why I love Canada, because this country is giving me the opportunity to grow and to learn so much about myself and about others, and giving me the chance to help, to give back to the community, and also giving me so much help. So I am